Welcome back, everyone. Dustin Davis here, and you're watching another Dolphins Express report. First of all, I wish all the channel subscribers a happy 2026. Big hug. Let's go. Miami's season has collapsed under the weight of a question the organization can no longer defer. The signal caller position, once thought stable, has unraveled through turnovers, inconsistency, and a benching that exposes deeper structural problems. What the Dolphins front office faces now isn't a minor adjustment, but a reckoning that will determine the franchise's direction for years. The roots of this crisis stretch back further than most realize. Years ago, an aggressive attempt to secure an elite passer fell through, and that failure may have locked Miami into the very predicament it now confronts. The ripple effects of that missed opportunity have compounded, leaving the roster thin on answers and heavy on uncertainty. As the offseason approaches, the path forward remains unclear. The decisions Miami makes in the coming months will either correct years of miscalculation or deepen the hole the franchise finds itself in. What's the solution? Let's check out everything that's been said in the last few hours. Before we dive in, I have a quick request. If you find value in our content, please give us a like. It's a small gesture, but it really helps. Thanks for being awesome. Miami enters this offseason facing the need to locate a franchise quarterback. Tua Tagovailoa's benching followed a stretch where he threw 15 interceptions, the league's highest total, and the internal options remain thin, though 7th-rounder Quinn Ewers will now get extended reps. The organization actually tried addressing this years ago by chasing an elite talent already in the draft class. According to ESPN's Adam Schefter, Miami put together an offer of 4 first-round picks to move up from 5th overall to the top selection in 2020. If Cincinnati had accepted, the Dolphins would have taken Joe Burrow, rather than watching him go to the Bengals. Cincinnati rejected the overture entirely, refusing even to discuss it, per league sources. Miami then selected Tagovailoa at 5. Both signal callers have dealt with serious injuries across their careers, but Burrow has clearly become the more productive player on the field. Tagovailoa may well have thrown his last pass in aqua and orange. Meanwhile, Burrow is grinding through another injury-marred campaign. Both franchises occupy similar spots in the standings today, yet only one will spend the offseason searching for a replacement at the game's most important position, while the other retains one of the NFL's elite arms. With Tagovailoa's future in Miami now uncertain, the organization faces a complicated challenge: finding a trade partner willing to take on the risk. All signs point toward Tagovailoa departing Miami when the season ends. Any team interested will be warned clearly: proceed with caution. Still, the NFL consistently rewards organizations that identify opportunity where others perceive only risk. A franchise comfortable with the medical profile and financial realities, while negotiating favorable compensation, might regard Tagovailoa as a worthwhile wager with genuine upside. Demand will exist, but expect the market to be limited. The league has a history of giving quarterbacks multiple opportunities, especially those with starting experience and respectable career numbers. Tagovailoa's cumulative statistics look solid. Miami's frustration stems less from overall production and more from inconsistency and an inability to perform during difficult stretches. Miami will likely absorb a significant chunk of the remaining salary. The cap math is unavoidable. Come March, Tagovailoa's deal creates an additional $3 million charge for 2027. The Dolphins could choose to cover that as well, though the number matters in any trade discussion. What did Miami realistically expect in return? At minimum, the Dolphins will need to sweeten the deal. That might mean adding another player, or more typically, including valuable draft picks to convince a partner to take on the quarterback's contract. The situation is genuinely that challenging. Some projections suggest Miami might package the quarterback with an early 2nd or 3rd round pick to attract interest. That becomes more palatable if Miami refuses to eat much salary. Conversely, if the Dolphins agree to shoulder more money, the draft compensation could shrink. Innovation will be critical. Teams like Las Vegas, Indianapolis, and Arizona are expected to pursue quarterbacks this offseason, and Tagovailoa could fit all three. Miami can build packages pairing an experienced starter with draft capital, offers that franchises in transition might find difficult to decline. The larger truth is that few quality quarterbacks will hit the open market, and Miami is unlikely to simply release Tagovailoa. Those potential destinations are probably seeking a temporary solution, a placeholder until their permanent answer answer emerges. For the immediate future, Tagovailoa's most probable NFL role through his current deal is as a bridge quarterback or depth insurance. If Miami executes the anticipated roster overhaul this offseason, a restructured contract could be part of what makes any deal work. Beyond the trade market, a different path has emerged, one that could offer Miami upside without draining their draft capital or salary cap. Miami's quarterback position is reaching a decision point, and one recent high-profile performance has thrust a particular free agent into genuine contention. Malik Willis's nationally televised breakout gives the Dolphins a realistic, budget-friendly option to explore this offseason. Willis, currently with Green Bay, turned heads against Baltimore by completing 85% of his throws for 288 yards, 1 touchdown, and 0 interceptions. He also rushed 9 times for 60 yards and 2 more scores, a showing that felt like the payoff of steady development since his arrival in Green Bay. We've already examined Miami's veteran quarterback alternatives and why a costly draft day trade-up in 2026 could prove impractical. That makes pursuing someone like Willis an attractive complementary approach. It delivers upside without sacrificing a future stocked with premium picks. The argument for Willis is simple: potential. Miami hasn't had a quarterback in recent years who merges legitimate arm talent with athletic playmaking ability. When Tagovailoa excelled in 2022-23, he did so more through timing and pocket efficiency than by generating explosive plays with his legs or consistently challenging defenses deep downfield. Willis brings both dimensions. Against Baltimore, he repeatedly attacked vertically, firing into tight coverage and testing the outside with velocity. As a runner, his film from college and limited pro snaps reveals natural burst, scramble instincts, and the capacity to turn broken plays into meaningful yardage. Critically, he's shown better pocket awareness, escaping heat while keeping his eyes downfield, a clear improvement from his college habits. If Miami wants to compete late in the season against elite competition, it needs a quarterback who can create chunk plays. Physically, Willis checks that box. A significant part of Willis's appeal is visible improvement. Comparisons to Anthony Richardson make sense given their shared athletic traits, but Richardson hasn't yet demonstrated consistent year-over-year progress in the pros. Willis, by contrast, has a clearer upward trajectory. His early stint in Tennessee was rough. Decision-making and structure were issues, but his time in Green Bay, studying behind Jordan Love and coached by Matt LaFleur, has produced measurable gains. His accuracy has tightened, his pocket movement is more deliberate, and his mechanics show improved consistency. Those technical strides aren't minor. Better accuracy and footwork reduce turnovers and extend drives. Yes, weaknesses persist, middle field anticipation can be spotty, and his overall body of work remains limited. But the trend matters. For a franchise without a long-term solution, an ascending player with verifiable development is compelling. Can Miami afford Willis? The short answer is yes, if the organization prioritizes the move and employs standard cap management. Miami won't be flush with expendable cash, but the roster includes movable contracts and structures that can be adjusted. Substantial cap relief could come from major roster moves. Restructuring or cutting high earners like Tyreek Hill or Bradley Chubb would liberate significant space. Signing Willis to a 1-year, prove-it contract preserves Miami's draft assets while providing an ascending starter with clear upside. Trading up for the elite 2026 prospects would demand a costly multi-year capital commitment. A shorter deal in the $12 to $15 million range lets Miami pursue a long-term option in 2027 while retaining valuable 2026 picks. If Willis disappoints, Miami maintains the flexibility to pivot to Quinn Ewers or to the high draft pick it kept by avoiding a trade-up. If Willis thrives, the team gains a low-risk starter who can deliver immediate offensive versatility. In either scenario, the arrangement maximizes upside while containing downside, a sensible path when both the cap and the quarterback market are constrained. At the same time, whispers of a blockbuster scenario have begun circulating, one that would require Miami to go all in on a proven superstar. A recent Baltimore Sun report has sparked speculation that Lamar Jackson might become available and that Miami could be among his preferred destinations. That scenario raises a sprawling set of logistical, financial, and football considerations. If Jackson landed in South Florida, he would instantly elevate Miami's offensive ceiling. His capacity to influence games with his legs and extend plays as a passer would integrate seamlessly with Mike McDaniel's scheme. Envisioning Jackson alongside Devon Achane's speed projects an explosive rushing combination that would force defenses to account for two dynamic threats on every snap. Naturally, the package needed to acquire Jackson would be massive. Even including Tagovailoa as a salary or roster component would likely prove insufficient. Reports suggest multiple first-round picks, and potentially more, would be required. That kind of outlay would reshape Miami's draft strategy and long-term roster construction. Beyond draft compensation, financial obstacles complicate any such transaction. Dead cap and guaranteed money tied to Tagovailoa's contract create immediate friction. Reducing those costs or moving them creatively would be essential. Structuring a blockbuster trade to absorb Jackson's salary would require inventive contract engineering and the willingness to accept short-term fiscal pressure for potential long-term gain. A structural barrier is Jackson's contract leverage. He holds a no-trade clause. As Andrew Buller-Russ of Sportsnaut observes, that provision means Jackson can veto any trade that doesn't align with his preferences. If he wants to stay in Baltimore, the Ravens can't force a deal. Conversely, if Jackson desires a return to South Florida, his home region, his approval could make a transaction viable. That centrality of player preference makes speculation heavily dependent on Jackson's own intentions. The 2025 offseason could shift quickly if Jackson were made available, and Miami should be prepared to make exploratory inquiries if the opportunity materializes. Pairing Jackson with McDaniel and weapons like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, and potentially Darren Waller if he resigns, would create a dizzying offensive arsenal. For now, Jackson to Miami chatter is an intriguing hypothetical rather than a probable outcome. The obstacles, contract language, draft capital, dead money, and Jackson's own preference make it unlikely unless several improbable pieces align. Miami should monitor the situation closely, but any realistic route to Jackson would demand creativity, substantial resources, and crucially, Jackson's consent. Let's settle this. Would you trade multiple first-round picks and eat Tagovailoa's contract to land Lamar Jackson in Miami? Is he worth mortgaging the future, or should the Dolphins build through the draft instead? Leave a comment telling us what you would do. Give us a thumbs up and subscribe. Join the community for exclusive daily content. We're here to keep you updated with everything going on in Miami. See you next time.